guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Dayra. I know that me and Shady haven't been posting a lot lately, and it's been like 1 or 2 months since we posted our last video, but we are starting to get back into the habit of making videos, and thank you guys for waiting, I guess, for the videos. Today this video is about for young authors, or for any authors in general. It's helping tips for writers. Writing the first draft of your book is always like kind of hectic, I would say. Well, I'm writing a book, and it's just more of mainly of like having your own checklist. When you think about it, the first draft is supposed to be messy. It's not meant to be perfect. So I've written a checklist right here. It's right in front of me in my notebook, that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. And okay, so before you start writing your first draft, or if you already started, just ask yourself these questions. Who's your protagonist? Who's your antagonist? What's the story about? So what is it mainly about? Who is it mainly about? Do you have a subplot? Like, the plot of your book can be, let's say, a young teenager is the answer to an entire prophecy, right? What's a subplot? What's another issue that they have? What's another thing that the story is about? Not as important, but somewhat important. Have you figured out the inciting moment, like the climax of the story, their issue, their problems? Have you figured out the plot twists? Is the main characters and the main villain siblings? Is the main villain I don't know. It could be a number of things. There's just a lot. And then another important thing, how does the story end? The story can end in multiple ways. It can end in a cliffhanger, in a surprising moment, with wise words that one character says. It's just, your ending has to go with your book, with like the main structure of it. Because let's say you're writing a standalone, and you end it in a cliffhanger. Some standalones end like that, but you're leaving the reader with wanting to know more. That's why cliffhangers are normally for series. You can write it either way, but it's just like an idea. I've seen most people, and most people have said to write your first draft as quickly as you can. It shouldn't take that long. They say that because your first draft is like the outline to your entire novel. It's like an essay outline. It should involve the most important events, the most important characters, the plot. It's not supposed to be perfect, and that's why they say to write it quickly. That way you know what the main events in the story are. Then when you write your second draft with your self-edits and all of that, you can add in the extra details and the extra events, the extra stuff. Also, try not to edit the story. Like, maybe you can edit your grammar and stuff like that, because it's kind of a habit. I do it too. But like, try not to edit like events or big scenes in the book. If you have an idea to change it, just grab your notebook, or add a separate Google Doc or Word form, write it down there. Do like little steam dumps. I have a note in my phone where I write them down, and I also write them down in my notebook. And then now I'm editing the first draft and writing the second draft, and that's what I've been doing. I've been looking back in there, adding or taking away scenes, and doing that. When you're done with your first draft and you're done with your self-edits, you can also ask a trusted peer or colleague, someone that knows writing. You can ask them to give you some feedback on it. Like, you think about what them as readers think about the story. Okay, so after you've written your first draft, ask yourself these questions. Have you captured the reader's attention from the first page? Because some people, they just like read the first page, and if they're not really into it, they guess that the whole book is not as exciting. So like, your hook should be something interesting. It doesn't have to be big and flashy, a big and flashy moment to be. It doesn't have to be a big and flashy moment for the reader's attention to be grabbed from the first page. It can be something. It can be any number of things as long as it's interesting to them. So it could be about a sick person lying in bed. Some people find that interesting, others don't. It's just what you think will grab your reader's attention. How does your main character react to the climax, to the problem of the story? Did you write a long reaction? Did you describe it adequately? Or how did they react? Were they sad? Were they angry? Were they happy? Were they surprised? How did they feel? And I mean, if you didn't write it as you wanted to, it's not actually a problem because it's only your first draft. It's not meant to be perfect, like I've said for the entirety of this video. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's just a hint of what your entire novel could be. What are your characters' goals? Do they want to defeat the villain? Do they just want to capture them? Do they want to kill the villain? What specifically do they want to do? What is their mission? What is holding them back from doing any of that? Is it a family member? Is it a certain is it an illness? What is holding them back? What's a flaw or something that's holding them back? How did you reveal to your readers what's their worst fear? Ask yourself this: what's their worst fear? How did you reveal it to the readers? Did they have did they experience their fears, or did something come up that reminded them of it, or I don't know. When you're editing, when you're doing your self edits, I'm going back and forth. When you're doing your self edits, it kind of helps to end all your plot holes, to just find a place to end them. Like, you can, I don't know, leave an event, something that they talked about in an event, you forget to write it. It happens. When you're self-editing, you can write that down and you can think about, okay, now I have to finish this scene. And it's not that much of it's not a problem because it's not your final draft. It also doesn't matter how many drafts you actually end up with. You can end up with 25, with 6, with 100, or dozens of them. That just means that you find things that you think are not suited for your novel. Some people end up writing 2 drafts, they send it to the editor, they edit it, and that's the final novel. Others do 24 drafts before they send it to an editor. It's just what you as the author think is enough. So like I've been saying, your second drafts are your self-edits. It's what you edit from the first draft, what you change from one point to another. The self-edits that you do is mostly grammar, close plot holes, erase unnecessary words and scenes and stuff that you think just doesn't go with the rest of the book, but that is utterly, that is mostly it's mostly unnecessary things from your novel. I honestly sometimes I go up on Google because I think my novel is short, because the first draft was like around 130 pages, and I was like, okay, this is weird. So then I searched up what things the average novel has, which is 3,000 to 5,000 words per chapter, 5,000 to 150 words per overall, or 200 and more pages overall. These are guidelines. You can have less or you can have more. It just depends on your specific novel, how many you want to have. Because I've seen novels with 700 pages, with 500, with 300. It just depends on the story you're trying to tell. I scroll TikTok all the time, and I find young authors, teen authors like me. I find editors and book cover designers, teen authors and writers and people who post writing. I just think there's any support that you guys can give, that I can give. Some authors are the teen writer, the teen writer is Dominica Tindor. I don't know how to pronounce her name, I'm sorry. She just wrote her novel and it's on Amazon. It's called Wings and Shadows. That teen author, I believe, is still writing hers, and Diana Smith. I'm pretty sure her book is called It Hung by a Thread. I'm not sure she's done. But I've seen the aesthetic and I really like the idea. I've read the plot. It's a really nice idea. I like it. I'm gonna buy it when it comes out. Or if it's out, I'm gonna try to find it. There's the writing prompts. There's multiple people. These are just two that I am following. And then there's book cover designers and book formatters. There's like Emily Writing Designs and Casey Moses and Books and Moods. And then there's one editor that I follow. Her username is Sweeter Than Fiction. I forgot her name. I don't remember her name. I think it's Jenny. Yeah, her name is Jenny. Yeah, I follow them. They help. They're a ton of help. There's another account that I follow. The name is Another Teen Writer. They all give a bunch of they all have a bunch of TikToks that help me with the writing. So these are just some tips that I thought could help. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next week.